Marvellous Delirium by Ahmed Al-Ghazi, a story of love, forgiveness, and forgetful. Forward. I had been thinking a good deal in the past few years of being forgotten immediately after death. I am sure that one day of my death, folks will gather at the funeral home, pretend to be sad, show fake solidarity, share in the grief of my family. And I pronounce the words people say in such situations: accept God's fate. He was a good man. My God forgive him and us all. The following day, and precisely in the evening, they will come back again, this time not to speak, but to eat. Every night I will become grilled chicken and sugar cones. I will only remain engraved in my parents' sweethearts. I thought a lot about this and so decided to leave something behind for which to be remembered. I had elected writing to conquer the hearts of the readers. Dear reader, I am not a writer, but a promise keeper. A real writer writes anytime, anywhere, and doesn't wait for inspiration to come. I am not one because I always wait for it to knock on my door. I just express things and jot down ideas as they come to me. Then I go with the flow. Where my characters lead me to reading and writing are but anyways of distraction from the everyday streetful life. And as long as I am on the track, no more of my writing shall come out. You might find this story poor, and you might be right, but in these pages are things worthwhile to share, some I knew and experienced myself, others from others people's life. This novella has something in common with you, something you are nothing without. It's being, it does exist like you and I, like the trivial and wonderful moments you have enjoyed with your family, a friend, or enemy. It exists like the good and bad memories you have in your heart. It exists like truth and fleshhood, like the existing dreams and goals you have been trying to achieve. It exists like existence itself. There are admirable things that, if you don't try out, you will never know. Life is too short to experiment it all, but through reading you can know without trying and experience without risking. Chapter 1. At coming that year, I met a special high school friend whom I hadn't seen for 2 years. He was one of the bright students. We admire him a lot. His ambition when I last saw him was so to continue his studies, to become an important person in society, marry, have children, and lead a splendid life. Recently, however, I heard bad news. He had become a drug addict and spent a couple of weeks in a mental hospital. This morning, I saw him in my favorite restaurant carrying a bag. He had a disheveled beard, reeked of alcohol, and had dark spot around his eyes. I called him, he turned his back, looked at me with surprise, and said he was delighted to see me again. We greeted each other affectionately. I ordered 2 glasses of juice, and invited him to sit on a chair and we start a long conversation. I hesitated long before summoned up the courage to ask if he had really been to at psychiatric hospital. He told me what happened to him during these 2 years. Would take days to recount. I explained how much I adored listening to a long stories. He drank his joys in one glass, as if he were putting out a wildfire inside of him. And I said, I will say what you will hear, and I am not to blame if you don't understand what I mean. In people's relationship, there is nothing worse than being in love with the wrong person at the wrong time, in the wrong place. A person who suddenly, for no convincing reasons, stops loving you back and changes the way of dealing with you. However, it is possible to forget any person on condition you respect yourself and forgive him. I have survived after a romantic collapse with this understanding that there is a price for every step in love's garden that one should pay. As you might know, small things can affect our lives in a dramatic way, and like every story, this also has a beginning and an end. Like all living things, it all started with a friend invitation to be a member of Qadiyad University group on Facebook. As a new student at the English department, I was looking forward to getting any information about the lessons I was going to study and how life would be like far away from home with new living style. You know, an excited student and his questions at that time, at the same questions were buzzing around in Hajar's head. At the university group, she asked about the documents she need to join the English department. It was a question I had asked before. I told her about the documents she would need and offered to give her some lessons to enhance her English over the holiday. She thanked me merely. I asked her to tell everything I should know about her. She welcomed the idea and introduced herself in general terms. Honestly, at first glance, I thought there would be something interesting between us. I badly wanted to see her pictures, but she kept posting my request for days. One night, when I was sitting on a sofa listening to my favorite music, she found me and said her photos were waiting for me. I hurried directly to my room. I turned on my computer and was surprised how beautiful she was. Then I went to sleep. After staring at her picture meditatively for minutes, my story began with a stroke of luck. After a period of time, she became part of my life. We would talk in the evening, sometimes up to midnight, and we exchanged ideas, shared viewpoints about life, and a few secrets too. We went in depth in our discussion. We lived into our thoughts, hurts, and anything you can think of. But surprisingly, I realized that my mind started to focus too much on one person. She preoccupied my thinking and stole my mind before my heart. On smartphone, we kept in touch all day long. I was her prisoner, and falling in love was my own crime. I would spend all day fantasizing about her and would remove any other thoughts far from her without the faintest hesitation. So it went on. I don't know how I can explain what was going on in my heart. The super factory of love The strange feelings I had were frightening and amazing, mixed with quick heartbeats. I thought she was the girl of my dreams, the girl I had been looking for. I remember the proverb which says that when you deserve something, concentrate on getting it. All circumstances concern in the helping you find it. I felt something sweet and enigmatic. For 1 month, we were together every night in the virtual world. Each day was better than the last. They were wonderful moments because no one had ever paid much attention to me as she did. Just thinking of her was enough to better my emotional state. I sent her a short story titled The Moon and the Red Flower. I, embe- I embedded many messages into it. It was a smart technique to bring my thoughts into life. The moon expressed his sentiments to a sweet red flower in a house surrounded by trees and other plants. The flower didn't pay him importance at first and turned him down. I sent the story to prepare her for what might happen later between us. What do you think of these 3 words? I love you. Please try to understand that my aim here in Marrakesh is to study and succeed. This is great. Please to hear that. I notice we have many common points. I also would like to succeed in addition to having access to your heart. Pardon my poor ability in explaining such things, but believe the 3 words. She said perhaps that was not exactly love, but just admiration. I extended her the following day and said that was going to deactivate my Facebook account because I couldn't help loving her. And she hadn't decided yet whether to be with me or not. I needed to lose contact with her to give up thinking of her. Oh, my friend, I wished if I had done it. She responded. I said that I should keep hope because everything was possible. She phoned me up at 2 in the morning. We began our conversation with meaningful silence. I asked how she was doing. She said fine and warned me against activating my account. Her reason was that she hated to lose someone who just appeared in her life and already took a special place in her heart. Hajar phoned me nearly always. I thought she was doing it of her own money, but she told me later about the man who used to send her call credits every day. The poor man was also in love with her. Anyway, I'm grateful I'm grateful to him and I do appreciate what he did. Sometimes we spoke 2 hours without a break. We would sit up all night gossiping about our families, friends, and our daily activities. We also discussed our future plans and what we would do together. My existence in her life made her feel safe and happy. One night she said, I love you, bad boy. And it was true. I was supremely happy. Those little words had a big impact on me. We kept in touch every day and night for 90 days on the phone and in the virtual world. She was coming to Marrakesh after 3 days with her parents and her brother that promised they filled me with so much. excitement while I was heading for university. I saw her mother and brother standing by their car. I walked towards them and looked at her brother for a while. I asked if Yasin was his name and whether he studied in Casablanca. His forehead wrinkled and asked how I knew. Of course, I hadn't said his sister told me. I lied and said I was in a trouble situation and he gave me a hand. He replied, insisting that it was not him. Then I apologized and walked away. Her mother did not remove her eyes of me and retreated not a word. Hajar was standing with her father miles away. We just made eye contact from afar. Remove her eyes of me and uttered not a word. Hajar was standing with her father miles away. We just made eye contact from afar. Time had come, and I was going to meet her. I had been thinking about the moment for weeks. She was pretty, her defects gazed at me, but I was too blind to see him. Alas, you are not who you are when you are carried by emotions. I could see no other girl but her. I couldn't even differentiate between the gazelle and monkey. I truly believed in the uniqueness of my situation and that Hajar was of a good character. I gave her a jovial welcome at our first meeting. After a little preliminary shyness, we admitted how lucky our souls were to have met each other. She asked shyly whether she had met my expectations. I confused and said much better. Subsequently, she said she was going to live with a new friend of hers, whose name was Ruqayya. I said I would be pleased to meet her. She said it was a joy talking to me and suggested we get together soon. Right there on that sunny day, we had our first kiss, surrounded by an unbearable noise of cars. I still delightedly remember how she looked like, and her gentle tone of voice behind every word she had said was hidden story. She was like the cave. She can't make you only doubt yourself and afraid, but much more. She had a cute smile and had the appearance of a romantic girl, but frankly, she was far away from being romantic. I spent marvelous moments with her. Being with her was something enjoyable. I was unsure if she used to give her heart away easily, or if she could trust my pure love. All I was sure about is that in life nothing is for free, and I and there would be a price I should pay for the pleasure I had felt. I loved her but was still hesitant to put my complete trust in her. I was afraid from the day when we would have to say goodbye, just remembering that at the end of school year we would be away from each other, and hundreds of kilometers would separate us, drove me to despair. I am sure most people from all over the world who tasted the flavor of love recognize what I talk about. It is the free and simple things in life that are wonderful. People who have clean souls and lovely hearts are able to evaluate them. I told Hajar many adventures in which I was the hero. I naively believed that I had found the person I was looking for. The girl that would lighten my dark world. I told her things I had never shared with another creature, even my dog that I loved to death. Fortunately, she appreciated most of what I had said and liked to hear more. I shared hopes and built dreams that would never come true with her. I told her about wonderful things that happened to me to share my happiness with her. She loved to laugh and at me when I made a fool of myself from time to another to make her, at least, feel good. She never made me feel like I wasn't good enough. But I should admit that she showed me special things about myself. I thought she loved simplicity, and that made me stay myself and not worry about what she would think of me. I fancied she loved me for who I am. Laughter was food of our daily conversations. A phone call from her empowered me to get through a long day's studying and always put me at ease. I was enjoying life with her. I even became interested in petty things just because they were valuable too. Here I thought of her every day, everywhere, and beautiful things evoked her image in my mind. In simpler words, my whole being offered her all sorts of attention. I opened my heart and I was well aware that there would be a chance of being broken someday. But in opening my heart, I experienced love and joy that I never imagined before. Being a faithful lover is the only way to let your heart live through pleasure, even if it's with the wrong beloved person. I decided myself and thought I had a true friend and real love, possibly a true shadow that can stand by my side even in the dark place. But as you know, people sometimes act so stupidly. When my love Hajar made sure I had fallen in love with her so profoundly, she began the ignoring process. She stopped asking about me the way I did. I asked what was wrong and she just pretended I like everything was alright. She was just busy with studying, as she said. She told me she had a relative policeman in Marrakesh and she used to hang out with him whenever he desired. Up to now, I can't and I will never believe that he was a relative. You know what I mean. I am a student. He has a job. And for materialistic girls that is a difference as between night and day. She informed me in order not to react badly or violently if I came across them somewhere. I couldn't grasp how the bloody girl managed to balance between loving three men simultaneously me, the policeman, and the man who sent her calls credits. That was really awful, truly terrifying, and absolutely diabolical. Her carelessness grew and couldn't help it. I sought out her friend, Rokaya, and said that she no longer cared. I begged her not to utter a single word of what we discussed, and she swore me to secrecy. Unfortunately, she did, and this was the spark of all the coming troubles. Life is too short to waste it hating anyone. I forgave Rokhaya, but I didn't forget that she was to blame. Hajar called me once and asked about what I had told Rokhaya. I said that I was not trying to bother her, but to make her understand her carelessness towards me. She wickedly told me to forget her. I didn't add a word. At the time, fear of losing her realized seized me. I had phoned Hajar and insisted on seeing her. It was a Tuesday night in autumn when I tried to fix an appointment, but she didn't care, as she often did. She said things were not going as she had planned, and she was there to help me whenever I felt the need. She also reminded me that we had been friends before. She shocked me. I asked why she wanted to break up early, but she only could provide a feeble excuse and said goodbye. This was the first goodbye. I felt as if I were the saddest boy on earth. What added fuel to the fire was when she said no love would tie our hearts again. I had no choice but to accept. Deep disappointment kept my head down, and my tongue dead silent with eyes on the floor all the way back home. I wondered what I could do to fix this trouble, how life would be without this girl whom I had been addicted to more than drugs. I believed in having in a capacity of solving this problem and making things look better. In fact, I was just encouraging myself. She promised never to let me down, but she cared about nothing and did. Her promise was hollow. I never believed everything she said. I'm unsure about the reason behind her choice of giving up loving me. And even if it was Ruqayya, it doesn't matter anyway. Indeed, I thought my heart was going to be safe in her hands, since she had gone. An empty space and entire silence filled up my heart. I revisited the place where we used to meet. With her ghost, I lived all delightful moments again and recalled all these days. I spent a wonderful week before our next encounter. That week it dawned on me that any love might make you suffer. So just find the love worth suffering for. Affliction due to love is painful. The greatness of love is corrupt with the wrong person. Love is philosophy, dangerous and unhealthy for unbalanced people. Everybody fears pain, but pain woke me up. I didn't repress it. Pain is something we should deal with emotionally rather than nationally. In that relationship, I felt my strength to face any hard situation in life. It's like innate feelings such as happiness and love to survive. I enjoyed pain because of her the way I had enjoyed pleasure with her. And what an indescribable enjoyment it was! It was a whole week before we met again. She said she had missed me terribly and regretfully sobbed about what she had done. Shedding crocodile tears no longer affected me. We had a long walk down Al building as if nothing had ever happened. I was already satisfied and ready for anything. All she wanted was to turn our love into friendship, to forget about past problems and turn a new page. Friendship after love is like being poor after years of immense wealth. She dared to ask for my friendship. I convinced her to give up the idea of being friends. She agreed to try once more. I revealed my intention to play evil tricks on Ruqayya, who was responsible for our breakup. But she refused harshly. She refused only out of fear, not for love of peace. In spite of all that, she felt secure with me. I preferred to be available for her whenever she needed, but being always available for the wrong person is, as I see it today, an unforgivable sin, and I saw that a sin I had committed. The third time we met, We said goodbye without knowing that it would be the last. Just one little remark, my friend. When you say goodbye to someone, don't be rude. Show affection and respect because you can't tell whether it would be the last one forever. That night, she sent me a fatuous message. She asked about my well-being. Are you hungry? I wrote back, what do you mean? She replied. She didn't give me chance to write back to explain and blocked me on Facebook. And I, in cold blood, blocked her in live book. It was her fault after all. I asked if she was hungry because some dogs come at the feet on their masters in case they are hungry. But in truth, it was the best to be with your dog that loves you and doesn't betray. Owning a dog at that period was a necessity, a necessary ingredient to fill the emotional holes in my life. With enormous failure between my hands, I returned home fully disappointed. But people with open arms and generous hearts weren't in my way. It was only my dog who rushed towards me with waves of happiness and mad excitement. He has taught me the art of loyalty and loved me unconditionally. If you reach the level when you give more attention to a person, do whatever it takes to make them happy, but they don't evaluate it. You sacrifice everything you have, but they don't appreciate it. Sometimes you ask for forgiveness even though you are not the one in the wrong. Then you are that person's slave. Listen to what your heart tells you. Trust it and be obedient. If you save your heart from breaking, be sure you will find someone who deserves you. The weekends afterwards were pure bliss. I couldn't recall what life was like before I knew Hajar. My friend, remember that making decisions brings about significant change. There will be no failure at anything, especially at people's relationship. To you, if you are aware of your inside greatness, even at stormy times, you will shine like stars in the sky, untouched by the dirty hands of any mortal beings on earth. The important thing that can help you to get over anything, as I experienced myself, is to make your mind think only about what you permit. Your mind can be a great enemy. Winning over the battle of your minds is winning over everything in life. I couldn't believe that one day I would escape from Hajar's captivity. I am free now and merry because the breakup has come about. If you can change the way you handle that what happens to you, you will absolutely be invincible. Stop living like a victim. Emancipate your heart from mental slavery and realize that everything which shows up in your way has something to teach you. Hajar taught me a lot. One of her lessons was on not to take beauty and kindness into consideration to judge people. Her friend was the major reason behind our breakup, and she had taught me how hypocrite people are. Hajar was a bird. Yes, that's what she was. A bird whose wings had grown strongly, and it decided to fly. Self forgiveness helped me more. Forgive yourself. See your mistakes as learning experience. Everybody makes mistakes, some worse than others. He who has never made a mistake will never discover new things. When you break away from the wrong person, you will laugh out of peace and happiness. I didn't waste time regretting. I looked forward and started making things happen. I only regret that I shouldn't have done and did after the breakup. Because everybody had a lesson to teach me, I decided to have more lessons to broaden my knowledge. I became a recurrent visitor to a brothel in Dawdiyat, where I discovered that the human meat was cheaper than a cow's. There in the brothel, I received detailed courses on the philosophy of body given by gorgeous women, whose white body always took my breath away. From the paid sex, I learned not to use my heart in future relationships, if there will be any, and to simply love with another different organ. Afterwards, I made sacrifices and devoted my time to studying, but it was too late for success to come. If only I had the knowledge I have today. I strongly admitted that love is greater than her and me. It comes alone when you open your heart, and every relationship is unique. Moreover, nice people like you are everywhere, and bad people like me are everywhere as well.
Thank you for watching. I hope this video is clear. Don't forget to like, subscribe and switch on notification to get every posted video.